Hi, you guys. This is Rachel here, the Modern Shaman. Thanks for being with me for another YouTube Q&A video of the week. I always suggest at the beginning of these videos, if you are not already a subscriber to this channel, please do that. Click that little bell in the corner that gives you notifications every time I upload a new video. Also, if you are a longtime viewer, but maybe have never had a session with me, go to the website, themodernshaman.net. My online calendar is on there. You can have a personal session here in San Antonio, Texas, in my office, or anywhere in the world, really. Virtual sessions are available through Zoom now. And really, since COVID, those have become very popular. And you can do that for anything. All types of energetic work, shamanic work, soul retrieval, seership, probabilities, mediumship, you name it. It's all available there. Also, if you are wanting to stand in your divine abilities as a sacred practitioner of the intuitive arts, the shamanic arts, really our ancient intuitive awareness, if you are wanting to do this, learn more about it, if you're wanting to turn it into a career, if you're just wanting to recognize and remember who you are and have that sense of divine epiphany in your life, I would love to teach you and direct you and guide you. And my online masterclass was made for that. I have a heart for teaching. If you guys have been with me for a while, you know that's what I got my master's degree in teaching and education. And even since I was a baby, like my babyhood, I have always been a teacher. It's just always been in the persona of my purpose. And those of you guys that are like me, you know what I'm talking about. My father's the same way. It doesn't matter. Every time he comes over here, he's got to teach me something new about the garden, about whatever. It's just innate within the persona of my soul. So I would love to be of assistance. This is why I do these videos too. But these are a tiny, tiny little tip of the iceberg. And when it comes to the teaching curriculum, there are 44 downloadable modules online that really walk you in depth through curriculum, guided meditations, guided activations, questions that dive into deeper shadows, practicum that gets you out there, practice activities where you are training and doing the action. So if you're interested in that and that sparks a little bit of your intuitive heart right now where you're like, I think that's me. I really want to do that. I would love to work with you. That's also on my website, themodernshaman.net, and the portal there takes you through all of the available masterclass modules. All right, let's get on with the question for today. This one was sent in. It's last week. It says, hey, Rachel, here's my question. If you need to generalize or summarize it, you can. How do you base your deciding? When faced with a situation, how do you know which decisions are optimal? When you're unclear about which way to decide, are contracted feelings usually pointing to discord within the decision and expansive feelings pointing towards agreement with the decision and your preference in mind? Thank you again. Wonderful. Yeah, I like that you've already kind of come up with a way of differentiating between your two different decisions, being your extrasensory perception or your clairsentience. This is our feeling-based modality. When the logistics of our 3D perspective or what's in front of us or the material realm isn't as obvious and you're trying to make a decision and you're not quite sure, it is so helpful to utilize your multidimensional connections and go to your non-physical superpower. You guys, this is where we have higher level intelligence and wisdom from our own higher guidance that is ever present in the non-physical realm. There is part of your soul. If you didn't already know this, you probably do. And if you've been listening to me for a while, I'm sure you know this, but when your soul incarnates into a form, it cannot take the entirety of its energy into this human form. It would explode just from the voltage, the sheer voltage of our soul energy. And so part of you remains non-physical. Whatever can be brought in, maybe it's 15%, maybe it's 30% of your soul's energy into this human incarnation, you bring it in, but the other percentage of you still remains in the non-physical realm as your higher self, your higher guidance. Now, sometimes these personify in particular guides. Sometimes it just stays as an ever-present wisdom, your higher wisdom that speaks to you, that is with you all the time. It is you. So when you are trying to make a decision, it only makes sense that you would speak and sit and connect and get in communication with your own highest form of wisdom that sees all perspectives, all probabilities, forwards, backward. It's not bound by a human form, not bound by a human mind and cognition and what we can process. So go there. That's my first piece of advice. Sit down. I'll give you some practical, like how do you do that? How do you connect with your higher self when you're trying to make a decision? Get your butt on the floor, get in a quiet space. I would recommend putting a blindfold over your eyes, literally turning off all sensations. So sensory deprivation, we do this when we go into deep trance, when we do shamanic journeys. When you purposefully turn off your 3D sensory perception, it just turns a switch on to the higher dimensional perceptions, our extrasensory perception, and it makes that the dominant form of information. So they don't use numbers. They don't have to show you numbers all the time because you are looking inside. They don't have to show you symbols or have a bird come by or have someone repeat something on a billboard and then someone says it to you. This is when we're not giving time to the non-physical extrasensory perception and paying attention to our intuitive guidance. When we're not, then we tend, and we're in the busyness of our daily life, and I'm not saying that's bad because Spirit speaks in that way, then Spirit will speak through the 3D. But when you sit, like I'm recommending, you're making a big decision, get on your butt, cut out all sensory perception in the 3D, okay? Make it dark, put a blindfold on, put some headphones on, or just cover your ears, but essentially move into your interior space as if you're underwater and set a very clear intention, saying the internal words as if you can hear your auditory processing, and you're saying, I would like to connect with my higher guidance. I want the highest decision for my life, my evolutionary journey, in a way that I can live out the best and the highest purpose for my soul on this planet. Now, I have a decision to make between A and B, and I would like to hear your guidance and your wisdom on both perspectives and probabilities for my future and how that will impact me, the world, those around me, whatever is important to you. And then sit and observe. And I would do them one at a time if you have a binary decision, A or B. And this is actually how I teach binary probability readings. So when we're looking into future probabilities, I would say take A and B first, a binary probability. If I do this or if I do that. Okay? And pay attention to them one at a time and sit and observe. You have turned off all of your outside 3D perspective. And so pay really acute attention to the extrasensory perception. Y'all, this is very easy, but we just don't sit and give time to it. We don't. We do a meditation, but we listen to someone else guiding our meditation. We don't listen to ourselves, to our own higher guidance. We don't get quiet and sit in stillness. It's never quite still, and it's never quite quiet when you're talking to your higher guidance. But it's not rocket science. It's just the intention, the sincere intention, and the time. And give yourself the gift of that time. If it's an important decision, you should do this. And I shouldn't have to tell you to do it. You should want to do it, okay? If it's that important to you. when you're sitting, I would take each option one at a time. And even with that, I would get a piece of paper, fold it in half. Again, this is how I teach binary probability readings of your future. And I would put probability A, right? If I choose this, or if I make this decision on one side of the sheet, if I make that decision on the other side of the sheet. This helps move things into 3D. It's just another form. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to sit and you're going to observe what comes up when you think about the first option for yourself. If I make this decision, okay, what do I observe? First, see if there's any visuals that come in through your clairvoyance. Maybe you see pictures of yourself in that, living that future life, or with that future person, or in that future job, or in that future location, or doing what it is that you think that decision will bring into your life. Okay, just observe it, observe how it makes you feel and your sensory response to it. Maybe it relaxes your muscles and you feel totally at ease. Maybe you're excited and joyous about that decision. Maybe you're nervous and you contract up and you're tense. Maybe there's fears. Maybe it starts bringing up past people and past relationships where there's still trauma that needs to be released, or old patterns where it's the same relationship with the same person, same personality type, just a different face. And Spirit's trying to tell you, look, this is the same old pattern, sweetheart. You're asking about getting in this relationship, and it's the same guy you dated 5 times ago. It's the same guy you dated last time. It's just a new face and a new body. It's the same guy. Okay? Maybe that's what's coming up. Observe it. Don't judge it. Just receive the higher guidance that's coming through from your eternal space of wisdom. Okay? And then take a moment after you've observed for a while and write it down. When you write down, particularly, sorry, I'm grabbing from my desk right there with a pencil. This is a mechanical pencil. These are my favorite kind. You use lead and you're putting it onto a tree, which is very absorbent. Paper energy is very absorbent. It's earth. And you're bringing it into 3D manifestation. You're bringing it into this realm. It's just another container or form of energy manipulation. So when you put it into a flat 2-dimensional object, you're essentially transferring all of the energy that's been downloaded, that's been received from observing that option of that decision, and you're manifesting it into and bringing it into the material realm. This is the material realm, okay? So it has more potency and power into, instead of just being a thought form, it's now moved into the 2D realm of minerals, materials. It's moving through lead or graphite, or it's moving through liquid ink, and it's being absorbed from the tree-based paper. Okay, so there's absorption there that's beyond just the ethereal realm in our thought forms. It's percolating through, like coffee coming in through the coffee pot. It's made it through, it's filtered through, okay? There's a grounding element to that that makes things very clear. And when you finish this process, you'll reread those and it will be very obvious to you which decision will be best, okay? So you do that with each probability. Observing, initiating the thought of that decision, observing it through all your extrasensory perception, which is inclusive of just like, am I getting any downloads? Do I feel like Spirit's just making me feel information? Am I seeing colors, lights, anything? It doesn't matter. Receive the information, observe it, and then put it down on the paper. All right? Then afterwards, like I said, go back through that piece of paper, read it, and gain clarity. Now, here's my little caveat to that process in your decision making, using the strength of your extrasensory perception and the omnipotent and omniscient perspective of your higher guidance, which is you. That universal self will also let you know if the decision doesn't matter. This is a confusing point for a lot of people, so I want to be clear on this. When you're looking at both sides and it feels like your emotional energy, the visions that you got, they almost feel comparative to another. They don't feel distinctively different. It doesn't feel like this is a great decision for me and this is not the best decision for me. When they almost look equalized, that is a message from Spirit that the decision itself doesn't matter so much as the character that you are within each decision. Let me give you an example of this in case that's a little too obtuse or like abstract. This comes up oftentimes when people ask me about jobs. They'll say, I've come to a point on my spiritual journey where I really want to embody my purpose in my work. I want to live out a highly motivated, inspired, spiritual path for a living in my job. Okay, and so they will want perspective on which probability, they're maybe job searching, which job is going to bring me the most spiritual growth or the highest purpose in this life, right? And I'm looking at two different jobs. And so I'm going through a sense of binary reading and looking at both probabilities for their future and describing both. And then they look happy in both. And I see them connecting with people in both. And then I see some struggles in both. Maybe one doesn't make as much money as they wanted. Maybe the other one has some people where there's conflict and they are kind of avoiding that conflict or scared of those people. Whatever the scenario. And I'm explaining both of the observations that I have, but I'm noticing energetically when I'm connected and I am energy melded with my client, I'm feeling what they're feeling. So I'm feeling their energy, I'm feeling their response to this reading at the same time. And I can feel that it doesn't bring them clarity yet. They don't have an aha epiphany moment there. And so what I ask from Spirit from that is, okay, which one of these just clearly is a yes or a no, right? And you can also ask that of your higher guidance. Which one is better? Give me clarity. Make it obvious, right? Make it so clear to me that I have no doubt what is the direction you want me to go in. And then Spirit will say either, or I don't care. It doesn't matter. And the answer there is that it's not about the job. It's about your spiritual character within either position. That's what's going to get you a purpose-filled job, a spirit-infused and inspired position wherever you are. That's what's going to get you the most out of that position. It's not the title, it's not the location, it's not the people you're there with, it's not the promotional path. It's your character and the soul development that you do within that job. Day in and day out, when you go in there, whether it's a janitor and you're going in there and you're literally clearing the space, you're saging the space, you are uplifting, you're taking out elements of density and darkness. Maybe you can even see spirits in there. And as the janitor, you're clearing out the spirits and you're doing energetic work. And the people that come into that office every day or that home every day are living in an environment that you are making whole and holy for them to work in. I mean, it can be super simple job position and title, but the character with which you infuse it is what matters. And so oftentimes when we don't have clarity with the decision that we're making, the decision may not be about what we think it's about this position or that position, this person or that person. When we're trying to decide, like, should I marry this person, yes or no? And it feels kind of unclear. It's almost like Spirit doesn't care so much about that title or that piece of paper or that promotion. What they care about is whether your soul is noticing the patterns that it needs to change and stepping into its true sovereign nature, its power, its sense of soul development, that you are being who you're capable of being, that you are expressing as much love as you possibly can in that scenario, in that relationship, as much forgiveness, that you're doing the work of you within that decision. So I gave you a practice to get in connection with your higher guidance, but I will also say that knowing yourself and being able to read that piece of paper afterwards and gain clarity, whether the clarity is that neither one make a difference in your evolutionary path, or whether it's obvious, and it will be, that this one is better than this one. The decisions will be made clear when you get in counsel with your multidimensional self and move into that ease of higher guidance with yourself. So I hope that's beneficial to you. Good luck on your path. I am cheering you on.